Hey guys, and welcome back to another video on the wrestling review of the annual. This is my thoughts on AJ's return on and what it would and what it will eventually lead to. Alright, so to start us off, guys, I thought the segment in of AJ with his return was at the perfect way. He had Becky and sort of embarrass CM Punk again, similar to the Raw segment. She slapped him in the face several times. She says, "What you gonna do? You get no friends with." Then Punk runs down his list of friends that he's got with F, and as soon as the slaps get one ends, AJ he comes out and basically does an iconic psycho skip, as I like to call it, around um she basically will walk sides with Becky Lynch before or she jumps in and starts to holding Becky Lynch and Rollins and kind of hightail, and that's what ends Smackdown. But like what I think it'll eventually lead is obviously the asthma will be confirmed for or the wrestle so what I think that so he as AJ will he taking the Intercontinental Championship from Becky Lynch, the Women's Intercontinental Championship, I should actually say. And I think that's who'll beat Becky Lynch for the belt ultimately. I think though, Punk and AJ will probably will in the match. AJ he'll probably pin Becky and those two will siphon off into their own program or even Punk to go after Seth Rollins for the next pay-per-view for the men's World Heavyweight um, Championship. Ultimately, you could have screwy finishes in that because ultimately I think that's what's going to happen. I can see Rollins retaining his belt, and you see that behind me on my collection of Funko Pops. I bought that. I bought that Clash at the Castle. As it was my LA Night t-shirt that I have on for this video. Oh, right. So, oh yeah, that's one. Yeah, I think this is heading. I think Becky and already in via shenanigans in the first single was match between AJ and herself. I think there'll be some sort of rematch here. AJ he gets the better of Becky Lynch and takes the title, and then we have kind of like an open challenge similar to what Sami Zayn's gonna do with the US title with AJ. He takes on the likes of Maxine Dupree, Ivy Nile, and eventually she gives a shot to eventually she gives a shot down the line to Ira, and Ira regains the belt. Um, it's a so there's plenty of options that could go after this, and it's also a full time it's also a full-time contract as well, which is nice to see because I didn't expect um her contract to be a full-time contract. So we're going to get another pretty sizable run here, and I was a another enough for us. And she played the psycho gimmick very well. I was a fan of the whole triangle of her, Kane, Daniel Bryan, and CM Punk. I loved that storyline. It was one of the better storylines of the 2010s. And she was also the special guest referee for CM Punk versus Daniel Bryan. Uh, mm, Honey in the Bank 20. Well, if you don't hear a lot people praise that match, I thought it was a decent match. She was also made smack she was also made Audrey on the 1000th episode of Order. Also we had several months at AJ years or Roger. Yeah, she actually had a pretty for Divas title run with, and that was the major women's belt still in existence. Um, she, she famously lost that belt to Age, who wrestles under her real name at the moment, Rhea. She's just recently left AEW. But yeah, back to AJ for a second. Ultimately, our Divas title reign would be surpassed by Nikki Bell, who's also on a full-time active contract. She came back earlier on in the build-up to Evolution. But I think as well what's notable, I think as well what's notable, her part and her standing ovation she got from the Chicago crowd is probably um is probably bigger than what or lecture artists and what it actually now both in terms of the fact we've seen them come back multiple times since 20 and don't get me wrong, it is cool to see both traditionally, but the third time, after the third time, it's kinda expected that they did come back, but this actually feels funny, as I kinda thought he was just on a ride off into the sunset. She's a successful author. She's been in the TV series Heels. She's on a lot of charity works, and she sounded as though she was happy doing what she was doing. I said in the previous I said in the previous video that um she was that she probably made the right decision with the ACM on her husband is fired. She probably made the best decision she could at the time to leave the company as fans during her segment, and were basically hijacking her TV time over if Punk chance, and there was a lot of but a terrible back and forth with WWE and CM Punk at the time, and I think AJ he actually made the correct choice at the time, and on and she's done a lot of commentary for various email promotions, on top of being a successful author, and actress. And so she's done a fair bit, in the decade since she was last active. A very long last match as a tag team match with Age up against the Bell as at WrestleMania 30 on in San Francisco. That was 2015. So it'll be interesting to see the extent of how she can adapt back in the ring. And as I've said, before, I was a fan of her in the ring arc, and there's a lot of different, there's a lot of different and varied opponents for AJ Louis face. She came up in an era where the only decent matches she could have possibly had to were against people like Leo uh, and Caitlyn and Natalia and possibly Beth Phoenix, even though she was on her out of the company at the time. She also came back for a brief. She also came back for a brief for on, but I think now you've got the perfect bill and on the roster of new talent coming up. You've got Nostalgia, you've got nostalgia-based wrestlers such as AJ Lee and Nikki Bell are coming back in. Basically two women with very different backstories in recent years. You've got Nikki Bell, who's just came back out of a toxic and abusive relationship. She's actually found her passion back for wrestling, and you can really see it's helped her through that difficult. But also as well, you've got AJ, you've also got AJ Lee, who um, who into pop. She's had to retire from the industry prior to war and after the WrestleMania 31 actual the tag matches and she was on the and she was on the and team to and so it's unusual for a wrestler to and their retirement match, but I don't think WWE had prepared for her exit, and now it feels as though there'll be a fresh for AJ Leaders into different opponents. I'd like to see her go up again. Instead, I'd like to see her face Maria that eh, possible, eh, possibly of Morgan, and I've heard, um, I've heard them also about a rock San Perez, AJ feud. Obviously that's a feud that Roxanne Perez wants WWE to pursue um, as her Roxanne Perez's idol. Oh, and there's a lot of similar, there's a bit of similarities between the two. Although I'd say AJ is the more powerful. As the more powerful is a former, but that's up to interpretation. Um, but yeah, as I've said, there's into different matches she could have us, and so it's not just a case. It's not just a case of It's not just a case of five cheese and it's Edgar and Cinnamon Pete and yeah, I'm really looking forward to see who she's on the face and yeah, so oh yeah, that's my thoughts on AJ usually on I'll probably only get about um, I'll probably only get a bit more sort of context as to the match in the story and for WrestlePower who's on the rotten and I'll be sure to follow the up at some point. But yeah, those are my thoughts and I really did enjoy this, but I'm entitled by you, YouTuber, thinking it's okay to spoil it before the segment actual he also really nice that by the but yeah I enjoy I still enjoyed it as I said so well guys remember to like share and subscribe and I'll see you all very soon. Hit the bell to be notified of any new videos and I'll see you all very soon for the next video. I'll probably be my next review on and so I'll see you for that.